Hey YouTube, today we're going to be taking this 3080 Founders Edition and repadding it for a second time. When I first got this one, this was actually my first Founders 3080s that I got. I immediately did 110 on the memory, and it was just throttling down to like 80 mega hash, 75 mega hash. So I repadded it with these thermal pads from Amazon. I actually did 2 packages of these in there, put both of them in there, and then used, some Arctic MX4 for the thermal compound, and it did help. The memory temp is a lot better, but the hotspot temp on this still gets up to 105, and the CPU temp and stuff just really isn't doing all that great. So I'm going to be putting some 20 watt GPU riser pads on to see if they really do make a big difference or not. So let me pop this back into a machine real quick. Guess I'll just pop the 3080 Ti out, and I'll pop the 3080 in, and let's get some temp numbers. I also have 2 other 3080s Founders running right now that we can get some temps from as well as a reference, and then we will tear this apart and I will put these new pads in it and let's see the difference. Okay, so we got the 3080 Ti swapped out with this 3080, and we got it mining here in Gminer. Just did the DAG files, and here we go. So here are the temps. Fans at 100%. These are the clocks. Plus 50 on the memory, or on the core. 1250 on the memory. 75 on the power, and 100 on the fan. Yeah, I mean, I just don't get why the GPU's at 70C already. When my other 3080s are a lot lower, and then the hot spot on this, it just keeps creeping up and creeping up. But the memory stays really nice and cold. I mean, this used to just be boom, 110, and now that's at least staying really nice and cold. So I don't know if the 12 watt, that's what these thermal pads that I got from Amazon, they're 12 watt, so you can see right there, 12.8 watt. Maybe that's just not enough, but as you guys can see, boom, it just immediately, and the GPU starts getting to 80. Hotspot gets to 104, and then it starts throttling pretty good. It'll start throttling itself pretty good. I'll show you my other 3080s real quick. So I have 2 3080s in this rig, and here are their temps. Both 3080s. You can see the memory's a little bit warmer, but the core clock, the GPUs on those are in the 30s, 40s, the hotspots in the 50s. And these are 2 Founders Editions that have not been repadded or repaced. So I don't know if I did something wrong, or if just the thermal paste and thermal pads I used aren't very good, but the stock numbers, except for the memory, are way, way, way better. And then as you can see, here's this other one. I mean, 79, 80, 104, but the memory is just boom, in the low 70s, so that's good. Just in that one part. So let's see if these GPU risers and some Arctic Silver 5 can fix this 3080 right up. Okay, first things first, you want to remove this little piece right here. Mine's already removed. Just pop it up and it pulls right out, and there's little covers that cover each one of these little screw holes right here. I already have those off. You just take a piece of duct tape and you push it on there, and then you pull the duct tape off, and it'll be stuck to the duct tape. I already had this GPU apart multiple times, so I didn't put those things back on because I figured I'd have to get back in it again. So the first thing we do is take off these 4 screws, and then these 4 screws, and that'll give us access to this back plate. Okay, now with all those screws out, this back plate should come right off. So it's kind of stuck on there. Boom. As you can see, it had thermal pads. I put a lot of them on there. So, alright. Time to do the next step, which would be pulling off this front plate. Okay, after those are unplugged, that plug and that plug, take out these 4 screws that are holding the CPU on. Well, the GPU. Alright, and now the back plate just comes right off. Let me use 2 hands to this real quick. Okay, so I got it off. And there's all the old thermals. I just don't get why this thing is getting so hot. It's got plenty of thermal paste on it. It was not easy to get off, let me tell you what. Alright, I'm going to repad this thing and put it back together. Okay, so you want to clean all of this, like all of these black and green and black, oh my gosh, it's so hard to see, and black and green and black and the CPU. You want to hit all that, or the GPU. You want to hit all of that with alcohol and make sure you get it really clean. I will be hitting mine all with alcohol right now. And then I already hit all this with alcohol, so you want to, that's the what this goes face down on. You want to make sure all of that's really clean with alcohol, so you don't have any grease or paste from the last pads or thermal paste on there, so you get better heat transfer. So once you get done doing all that, then you're going to take your new GPU risers thermal pads and cut them to size and start putting them on the cooler side, so then you can put this face down on there. So I'm going to start doing that right now. So this is what the GPU risers pad looks like when you get it out of the package. It's a nice big one. So I had to do 2 of those ones from Amazon. So hopefully I only have to do 1 of these GPU risers ones. That thing is got some weight to it. Okay, I got my thermal pads on, and I got the CPU thermal paste, the Arctic Silver 5 on. Now it's time to do the back. And on the back, you want to clean all of these black memory controllers with alcohol again. And legit, anything that's a black memory controller, obviously except for these, I put a thermal pad on. So that's what I'm going to do, and I will show you what that looks like at the end. Okay, I got all my thermal pads on, and I don't know, but from the research I have done, this is the hot spot area, so I just put a bunch of thermal pads right there, and yeah, I'm pretty stoked. One of the GPU risers thermal pads is enough to definitely do 1 GPU, and to do a little bit of extra if you want. I mean, I used all of mine except for this little sliver, but I did all of this, right here is all extra. So I'm hoping this makes a big difference in my temps. Let's see, as you can see, some of these you have the double stack, so I try to make them all like as level as you can make them. I don't know if it's going to adjust for that, but I'm trying to make them all as even as you can. So let's put the back on and this front plate back on and see if I get any temperature changes. Alright, now she's all back together. So it seems like it fit pretty good. So yeah, let's see how these GPU riser 20-watt thermal pads are going to do in comparison to the 12-watt ones. Alright, we got this thing up and going, tuned, 100% fan. And it's just at idle right now, and I'm already seeing a massive decrease in the GPU temperature. So the hotspot's about the same right now, and the memory's about the same, but the man, that GPU temperature is plummeted. So let me fire up the miner here and I'm gonna let this mine for a little bit and see if we have any changes. But before, it wouldn't even take very long. It would take a few seconds and it would already be, over 100 C. So let's see here. Man, not too bad so far. 88. Man, see, the GPU and memory are just way low now. That's sweet. It's just that hot spot. I don't understand why that hot spot is getting so hot. It's not horrible, but why do my two repadded 3080s run colder? That's what I don't understand. I'm gonna let this run for a little bit and see what it gets to. So 2 minutes and 30 seconds in, and it's not much different. A 0.3 C on the hotspot on this GPU, and actually the memory is actually hotter than it was with those 12 watt pads. So I don't really know what the dealio is, if it's my GPU that's bad or what, but yeah, I mean, it's still thermal throttling, it's still getting hot, so that kind of sucks. It's the second time I've repadded this. If you guys see something I am doing wrong, let me know. But yeah, this thing is just not feasible anymore. I don't know if it's just toast or what. Let me know in the comments. But yeah, I mean, I do like the GPU risers pads. They do come in a nice wide pad where you only need to buy one. Just was really hoping that would have took care of my thermal throttling issues, and I don't really know why I'm seeing higher temps on the memory now. It's actually colder in here than it was earlier. So yeah, by like 2 degrees it's colder in this room, so a little disappointed. I don't really know if it's a thermal pad thing, the way I put it on, or like I said, if the GPU is no good. So let me know in the comments below. I guess one thing I can try is I'm gonna buy a bunch of little tiny heat sinks and glue them to the side of this, because the graphics card is hotter than heck. If you touch it, I mean, it'll burn your hand. The outside of that card is hot, and if I put this little fan on it, it keeps it below 100 C. So yeah, I honestly don't think it made any difference at all with the GPU risers thermal pads over the Amazon ones. I really don't see any difference. I'll let you guys know if I see any other differences down the road, like maybe when I put some, this in my server case, but I'm gonna glue heat sinks to the side of it before then anyway. So just something I wanted to say. Yeah, I have a little fan, this little USB fan plugged into it, hitting right back here where the hot spot's supposed to be on that GPU, and what it's actually doing is keeping the shroud cooler, because the shroud is a lot cooler, and that's what's keeping my GPU cooler. So I don't know if this is like a first gen RTX 3080 and they had cooling problems. Maybe somebody can fill me in on that, but that's kind of where I'm at with this thing. And I'm gonna put it in a server case with a bunch of airflow anyway, so might as well start putting little heat sinks on the side to give it that extra little oomph. Okay, so in conclusion, was the GPU risers, thermal pads, any better in my situation than these Amazon ones? No, it worked exactly the same. I'm not ripping on GPU risers, and I'm not ripping on the Amazon ones. They both did exactly pretty much the same thing. So I'm guessing my problem is not this, or this, because I'm thinking that these things are transferring so much heat to the heat sink on this GPU, and that heat sink is just not being sufficiently cooled enough. So these did take my memory down from 105C or 110C rather to 72 to 80C. These did the same thing. Actually, I haven't seen these hit 72 yet, but it's I don't know if it's just different ambient temperatures or what. I haven't ran these for very long yet, but relatively they performed the same. So which one will I order again? I'll probably get, I haven't, this is a new pack of GPU risers. They have a lot more like thicknesses and like a lot more stuff. So I really did like the size of his pad. These guys you have to buy two. They're pretty much the same price. I mean, pretty much. These prices go up and down, and this is about $35 for a whole GPU's worth. So, really, it's buyer's preference. You're not going wrong with either. Maybe in different scenarios, these could be better with the 20-watt rating. But in my scenario, like I said, it made no difference. So, I will be adding, like I said, heat sinks to that, and I will do a video on that. Maybe it just needs more of a heat sink. So, alright, until next time.